Time is running out. An event so massive is about to unfold that undoubtedly will change the course of crypto forever. And that's happening in just 12 days. That's right, folks. We're just days away from an event that truly marks the pinnacle, or actually the inception of global crypto adoption. And the big players already started making their moves. They know exactly what's coming. Nation states, governments, and the world's largest institutions are about to open the financial floodgates. And now, more than ever, it's time to make sure that you don't miss the trade of a lifetime. Because if you play your cards right, this just might be the moment where you achieve the dream of financial freedom. So in today's show, I'm going to dig into why you need to lock in and pay attention, because the next 12 days could define your future. Guys, if that sounds good to you, do me a favor and destroy that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back, or I'm back. It's been a nice break, and we're going to drop some altcoin alpha at the end of the show as well, of course, for you guys today. But because it's been such a long time since I made a video, I feel like it's important that we go over macro news first, because there's so much going on, and this is critical. You guys understand the landscape right now, because if you just pay attention to price, you might be deceived and you might make some really bad decisions. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Okay, and one quick disclaimer I want to make too is that, at the time of recording this right now, the price is just under $97,000. When this goes live, I don't know, we might get another pump, it might jump a little bit more. It doesn't really matter, because this show today particularly is not extremely time sensitive to the hour or the day, but the macro news, as well as the altcoin alpha I'm about to drop, is long-term horizon. So I'm talking about the next 4 to 8 to 12 months, guys. So this video is very relevant no matter when you're watching it. Don't worry if you catch it a little bit later, if the price is at 100,000 or if it's at 95,000. Regardless, the information is relevant and throughout this entire video. So let's take a look at the ETFs, right? Let's get an idea of what's happening over here with the big boys. Now, we have that big dump on Bitcoin down over here all the way to, what was it, like $92,000, right? And then we had the ETFs come in and buy up almost $2 billion the past 2 days. Now, at the time of recording, we're just now starting to get some data come in for the ETFs, considering the fact that they're on the East Coast, and we have almost $500 million of outflows happening right now. Why? I will tell you guys why in just a second, because there's a little bit of fear right now that the markets are doing actually too well. Not the economic markets, but the other markets that we need to care about, the macro markets, the job markets, and things like that. So let's talk about that. As Miles points out over here, he says the TLDR on why the markets are dipping, essentially the economy is just looking too good right now. The US data came in hot, causing a bond yield spike. The ISM, which is a manufacturing index, is higher than expected. So manufacturing is higher than expected. And then we have JOLTS, jobs opening labor turnover. Essentially, how many new jobs are available each month is increased. So what Miles says, we're in the good data is bad data. So basically saying that the economy is looking pretty good right now. And maybe this means that there's no need for a rate cut from the Fed, which would not be good for risk assets, which is what we are still considered. I mean, at this point though, for me personally, I think Bitcoin, like I said this before on the show, right? Potentially Bitcoin decouples from the rest of the crypto asset classes. So even if I don't think this is what's going to happen, but even if there was something where the entire markets became very risk off, meaning that they're not going to speculate on things like altcoins and things like that, even stocks or whatever, I still think that there might be decoupling between Bitcoin and altcoins. But anyway, the most important thing that we need to look for next is what Benjamin Cowan says over here, that on Friday, we have the unemployment data, right? And his guess is as follows. If unemployment rate is 4.2% or less, BTC continues to go higher. Or if it's 4.3, Bitcoin chops for another month before deciding, or if it's 4.4 or greater, Bitcoin gets a correction. So that's what we're going to look for on Friday. That might be the next clear indicator of what's going on. So we know why we're seeing a pullback in the market, and we know what the next indicator is to look forward to see kind of which direction we might be heading in the market at large on Friday. But overall, we are here in a presidential year, of course, right? And Aaron says, on January 20th, Trump's inauguration day, and the day Bitcoin goes parabolic. This time, we're entering with a pro-crypto president, a Republican sweep controlling both the House and Senate, and a majority of pro-crypto representatives. Regulatory tailwinds plus institutional momentum equals the perfect storm for Bitcoin to explode. Mark your calendars. This isn't just a rally. This is the start of a crypto revolution. And Poly Markets right now has a chance of a Bitcoin strategic reserve in the first 100 days of Trump's presidency at a 31% chance. We'll see. That's not super high, but what do we know? We do know a lot of things. We know that Trump has made a lot of promises, and crypto and Bitcoin were just one of the things on his agenda in our world, in crypto Twitter and on YouTube channels, and all of us invested heavily in crypto. We think that Trump's thinking about crypto all the time. And the reality of the matter, it's just one thing on the agenda. But we do know that we have a huge amount of pro-crypto people in office now, and we'll get into that throughout the remainder of the show as well. So because this show is going to be quite long, there's a lot to catch up on, guys. I'm going to skip a lot of these videos that I was going to show you before. I'm just going to tell you the TLDR of them, right? And so Mike Novogratz from Galaxy says that if the strategic reserve gets created, then Bitcoin goes to 500,000. That seems obvious to me. I think that's, and I think that a lot of times when these guys make these predictions on public news outlets like this, I think they give their base case or their conservative predictions, right? Because they don't want to seem incredible, like uncredible, right? I was gonna say incredible. what's the antithesis of credible, of uncredible, right? But anyway, Tom Lee from Fundstrat says that it'd be $250,000. See, I think these are just conservative guesses if we get strategic reserves, because supply shock is a real thing, right? And there's just so few Bitcoin to go around. This is a really, really good thread. If you're not following HODL15 Capital on X, I should suggest that you go do that. 2025 will be the year of strategic Bitcoin reserve. The thread will compile a proposal of actions. Anyway, we'll look through it. So we talk about El Salvador, right? And it says El Salvador, the first country officially adopt Bitcoin, is legal tender in 2021, bought over 6,000 Bitcoin for its national Bitcoin reserve. United States, this is where Trump, we've seen it.
Crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done. If crypto is going to define the...
And so we got almost 200,000 Bitcoin in the United States. And then we've got this lady over here, Sarah, for the EU.
Across the Atlantic, the president of El Salvador decided to...
Talking about in favor of members of investing in Bitcoin and building a strategic national reserve. And then we have Japan as well. And Germany.
Es gibt, die an Deutschland vorbei stattfinden. Nicht beim Bundeskanzler, nicht beim Wirtschaftsminister. Welche?
That's Germany. And after they dumped their bag, as we covered before in the show, they're now thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Well, now you're going to buy back higher, Germany. You shouldn't have done that in the first place. You shouldn't have sold all the Bitcoin you had. Dum-dums. Now, please go buy your bags and pump it for us. Thank you. Poland, presidential candidate, calls for creation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve as well. In Russia, Duma Deputy Anton Tkachev asked Finance Minister of Russia to create strategic Bitcoin reserve. Switzerland as well, seeking to constitutionally mandate the Swiss National Bank to hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet, was officially registered in Switzerland's Federal Gazette on the 31st of December, 2024. So this is crazy, right? Like, look at all these countries. Brazil. A strategic Bitcoin reserve bill has been proposed in Brazil's Chamber of Deputies by Congressman this guy, right? And so you've got Brazil and Hong Kong, which we all know is kind of the playing grounds for China mainland as a whole. Hong Kong legislator Wu Zhihuan suggested that Hong Kong should start. Let me know in the comments below how my pronunciation is. It's pretty good, right? Hong Kong should start adding Bitcoin to a national reserve as a way to boost financial security. He argued that Hong Kong authorities could take advantage of China's one country, two systems policy to include Bitcoin. Bhutan, a population of 750,000 people, accumulated 12,000 Bitcoin for its strategic national reserve, leveraging clean hydrogen power, and they're doing Bitcoin mining as well. So these are all the countries that are adopting it right now, which is, just think about that. Just sit there and let it sink in for a minute. Like, these are countries all over the world adopting Bitcoin right now, and you think that you're worried about a little pullback? Literally, finally. Finally. So if you guys don't know, I'm in Alaska right now and with some family and my dad. And finally, I woke up this morning. My dad said he bought his first Bitcoin. I mean, I got him some Bitcoin before, but he finally on his own on the dip today went and bought some damn Bitcoin. Like, finally, he bought the dip. That's okay. And that's going to happen. And it's a good example of a lot of people, who are just resistant, watching it for so long, because I've been telling my dad since 2012, and my mom actually, in 2015 converted her Roth IRA and she got into it, and my dad was a bit more stubborn, and but that's okay. Finally he's getting into it because it's just inevitable. And this is the mentality. This is what people go through, right? And if you guys are watching the channel, you guys are probably already orange pilled. You're probably already in crypto. But to give you some perspective on how the rest of the world is thinking is okay, this is what it takes to convince some people that it's happening, right? It's happening. Bitcoin as a reserve asset, base case, in my opinion, as a reserve asset, base case, right? Could it become the world reserve currency? I mean, if you ask me, I believe so, right? But what now everyone is accepting as a conservative truth is that it would become a strategic reserve. That's the gateway drug. That's where we start is, okay, well, let's just make it a strategic reserve. But then what do you think happens when fiat fails and Bitcoin can be spent like cash, like a peer-to-peer electronic cash system? So this is what people haven't even started thinking about saying yet, because they don't have the balls to say it. But those of us who are deep in the space understand that this is what is likely coming in the future. So a strategic Bitcoin reserve, this is just the mainstream slowly showing that they're getting on board in a way that they're not jumping into things. And so it's okay. This is the pace at which the legacy world moves, the pace of a snail. And that's why we're okay. We're going to be patient. We're waiting for it. For me personally, 13 years now, I've been in this game waiting patiently. But in 13 years from now, again, imagine where we will be. I guarantee you so much higher, so much more adoption. At this point, it's inevitable. And so I think the risk to reward ratio on Bitcoin itself is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I think there's extremely low, of course, not financial advice, downside risk. I think there's massive upside potential, better than any investment in the world right now, better than real estate, better than art, better than anything. If you are watching this and you don't want to participate in meme coins or altcoins or whatever, because I understand you've been working hard all your life for your money and you're apprehensive, Bitcoin is a great place to put it in, because I believe that we are going much, much, much higher. Now, let's keep moving on. I got a little distracted there. So as Henry over here says, this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and most people are missing it. Governments will only decide to buy Bitcoin for the first time once. Corporations will only pop their Bitcoin cherry once. After this happens, you'll never get this chance again. Don't F this up. So Milk Road says, currently there are 9 countries that hold Bitcoin. In 2025, we could see this number double at least. I think that once it's kind of like, I don't know if it's like a dominoes thing, where you push domino over and then they all start going, or if it just rapidly starts to accelerate the adoption curve. But I do think though that, something like El Salvador, okay, these are small countries, people are watching, they're observing, like they're seeing success, but they're hesitant, right? And so I think the second that the United States, and this is why the video says 12 days left, right? We know Trump is pro-Bitcoin, the entire administration is pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto. And so once we start to see these strategic reserves kick off, I think it's like wildfire. So Milk Road says that this number should double in 2025. My guess is maybe it triples, right? Or maybe, we'll see. I don't know, but I've always been, the overly optimistic one, but it's just because I know where the future headed is. I just don't have a crystal ball to tell you the timeline of how long it's going to take. And as you can see, guys, the US government currently holds about $20 billion worth of Bitcoin. And as you can see from Bitcoin Expert India, there's over 60 public companies that now hold Bitcoin as a treasury reserve as well. You can check it out at BTC Expert India. Made this post over here on December 28th. If you want to go find it, if you want to go, or just freeze it, just pause the video and you can check it out to see all the companies right now publicly traded that are holding Bitcoin. This is huge. This is huge. There's not even enough Bitcoin in the world for every millionaire and billionaire to own just one, right? And look at all these guys who are holding, like every time that a big company, like imagine if someone else like does another MicroStrategy or Marathon or Riot and starts buying thousands. Every time a big company, Fortune 500 company or a big company buys up hundreds or thousands, is taking away the ability for anyone on earth to own one whole Bitcoin ever. This is just crazy. And this is, HODL 15 says, at least 60 billionaires have invested in Bitcoin, signaling growing confidence among the world's wealthiest individuals. Here you go. You've got a list of billionaires who are holding Bitcoin here. This is pretty crazy. I mean, again, you could just freeze the video and just check out the list here. Most of these guys we've seen have been pretty public about it, but it's pretty impressive. I mean, this is just people who are public. I mean, there's, imagine, and these billionaires don't hold one Bitcoin. No. They probably hold hundreds or thousands of Bitcoin, right? Or tens of thousands even, right? Or hundreds of thousands, like the Winklevi. So guys, remember, the supply shock is a real thing. I make these videos for you guys, and we talk a lot about altcoin alpha because altcoins are where you can make life-changing gains, but really you should be valuing your wealth in Bitcoin always because the evidence is on the wall. It's so crystal clear that Bitcoin is where you want to hold your wealth, not in dollars, but in Bitcoin. That's how I do it anyway. So Michael Saylor, again over here, saying they acquired some more as of today, basically. So MicroStrategy acquired 258,320 Bitcoin for $22 billion in 2024. And they started the year with 189,150 and realized a Bitcoin gain of 140,630 Bitcoin, or 385 per day. At a price of 100,000 Bitcoin, this translates to shareholder value creation of $14.6 billion for the year. That's pretty insane. Now, that's why we're seeing this list of public companies following the Michael Saylor MicroStrategy strategy. Exactly. So, Polymarkets, of course, says, will a new country buy Bitcoin in 2025? For me, I'd say the odds are 100%, but that's actually silly, right? Maybe they don't. But anyway, that's what Polymarkets is showing is 72%. Highly likely that happens. And as you can see, Chile over here is also considering a strategic Bitcoin reserve as well. This is a really, really cool site, guys. You can go to treasuries.bitbo.io. You can see treasuries.bitbo.io. And you can see all the ETFs, how much Bitcoin they hold. The ETFs around the world have 6.2% of the 21 million. And remember, there's actually not even 21 million Bitcoin available. Only like 20 million have been mined totally so far. The rest of the 1 million will come over the course of the next 100 years or so. And we also know that like between 3 and 6 million have been estimated to have been lost or gone forever from people being deceased or whatever. The early miners, just out of circulation. So this is actually probably greater. But if we do plan on 21 million, then we know that ETFs hold 6.25%. Countries, which is crazy that ETFs are holding more than countries, but countries for now, this will likely, in my opinion, outpace ETFs unless countries buy through the ETF. That could happen too. Public companies, 2.8%, private companies, 1.75%, Bitcoin mining companies, 0.45%, and DeFi, 0.74%. And you can go down and you can see all this stuff. This is such a great site. I love this. When the research team pulled it up for me today, I was like, this is really interesting to look at. That's why I gave you guys the link so you can go and just check it out yourself. You can see public companies that own Bitcoin, how much they own, where they're located, countries and governments that own Bitcoin, private companies, ETFs around the world, like Bitcoin mining companies. Really, really cool site if you guys want to go check out and see some more information about, who owns Bitcoin. And as you guys can see over here, Willy Woo talking about what we were just talking about, the supply shock and how little Bitcoin is on exchanges right now. It's all-time low, basically. And so this is why we will start to see, crazy price spikes in Bitcoin and start to move because there's just not that much in circulation. As Jella over here says, the MVRV Z-score has historically, we've talked about this before, has been a great indicator of when the market is topping out. So far, it's saying Bitcoin is nowhere near overvalued. Right? And as you can see over here, this orange line is the Z-score. And when it gets to this red area over here, like it has in 2017, boom, blow off top. Right? 2021, boom, blow off top. But we're nowhere near there right now for this current bull run. Just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. So historically, Bitcoin in January, average returns 4%, post-halving years 22.75%. On average, Bitcoin price bottoms January 12th, post-halving years price bottoms January 5th. We've closed January 1 around 94,000. Average return would put us at 97 to 98,000 at the end of January. Right? So that's right on par if we get average returns. But if we see the post-halving returns, we could see Bitcoin at $115,000 in the next 3 weeks by the end of January. And he says, if we haven't bottomed yet already, we probably will over the next week or so. I believe that we have at that $92,000 mark or whatever it was. But we shall see. And as I post on my X, if you guys aren't following me on X, make sure that you do that at Kyle_Chasse. The M2 money supply, as we talked about often, is up only. And as money supply goes brrr, so does the price of Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Money printers have no choice but to be turned on. Otherwise, the economy goes in the toilet. And there's too much political pressure around the world for that to happen. So the governments have no other alternative option than printing money to fuel the economy, debasing the dollar. And that's why Bitcoin will continue to go up, not because even if there weren't more people, which we already know there's tons of people buying Bitcoin, but just the fact that the dollar is getting weak will continue to be debased by printing more over time means that the dollar to Bitcoin value should go up, right? The Bitcoin to dollar value should go up. Now, we have to remember this. This is a bit confusing. I was trying to look into this through research. Now, wherever you guys see posted on different X accounts, I would just take it with a grain of salt because I can't get any confirmation or clarity anyway. What I can get confirmation on, though, is one thing, that everyone on FTX that had $50,000 or less will be paid back within the next 60 days. And that accounts to like $1.2 billion or something like that. But we're going to start to see this FTX repayment on January 3rd was a hearing and it got approved and everything happened. So like they're starting the process now of repayments. Remember, that's $16 billion of stimulus coming into our markets this year for sure. And from what I'm hearing, it does seem like it's going to happen within the next 60 days. And so that could be a huge stimulus. Think about the entire amount of not the entire amount, but almost 3/4 of the entire US Bitcoin ETF volume being injected into the altcoin market, because most of the money on FTX was in altcoins. and people who are getting repayments are probably going to put them back in altcoins. So imagine that kind of stimulus of 75% of the Bitcoin ETF growth coming back into the market over the next 60 days into altcoins should give us a pretty wild stimulus. And Fidel Castro's son, I joke, I joke, I don't know. But Justin Trudeau is resigning, thank God, right? Which he should. Like, everyone hated him when I was in Canada a couple weeks ago. He's just probably the worst person for the country ever. And so he's resigning. But, so what's going to happen? Before we go there, listen to this.
I know
Look at this smug face. Smug Trudeau.
Canadians won't be taking any condescending economics lessons from the Leader of the Opposition after he proposed to Canadians that a good way of avoiding inflation was to buy crypto, Mr. Speaker. That was his economic counsel to Canadians, and if they had followed it, they would have lost almost half of their life savings. Mr. Speaker, you can understand we won't be taking any economics lessons from that guy.
Oh, yeah. So that happened. And so what's going to happen? Well, just like MAGA, maybe Canada gets better. Make Canada great again. Canada's pro-Bitcoin opposition leader, Pierre, Poilievre, is expected to lead his party to victory at the next election after Trudeau resigned today. Another strategic Bitcoin reserve. And he was very, very pro-Bitcoin, guys. Very pro-Bitcoin. So we have that's also very, very bullish. And then there's also talk, like, I don't know. I've been trying to spend time with family and stuff over the past couple of weeks, but also paying attention to what's going on. And there's like talks of Canada becoming a 51st state of the US, which is unlikely to happen, but there's talks of it from like Mr. Wonderful and things like that. I don't know what's going on, guys. But anyway, that's bullish. Anyway, so we have the inauguration coming on, right? And people are thinking, well, what's going to happen? Well, we've been told what's going to happen. People think, oh, well, there's going to be, I don't know. I mean, there's always a tinfoil hat theory that like the lefts who control, blah, 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 are going to, crash the economy on Trump and make him look really bad and stuff like that. But the reality situation is that we've got, an overwhelming red sweep of pro crypto, pro Bitcoin people coming in from the House, the Senate, Trump himself, et cetera, et cetera. So we have alt season coming up soon. This chart shows Bitcoin dominance looking like it's ready to fall off a cliff and send altcoins so much higher. We are pretty much on a timeline right now. I mean, I remember in 2021, last bull market, this is the time when Paid Network was gearing up and ready to do its launch. And I think we launched on around the 20th or 21st. And that's when things started. That's when launch season started going absolutely parabolic, but it was slow before that, right? And so it was slow until like mid-January. So are we following exactly like the previous cycle? Could be. So let's talk a little bit about seasonality. So Miles Deutscher over here says ETH Q1 seasonality is on our side. So in 2021, 2020, 2019, all had positive years for Ethereum. But let's take a step further and look exactly at the post-halving years. So 2016 was a halving. 2017 for ETH pumped 518%. 2020 was a halving year. Post-halving year, ETH pumped 160%. 2024 was a halving year. How much will ETH pump this month? We shall see, but history has been very favorable on our side for a January month for altcoins looking very bullish. Now, of course, we have this recent data. Let's update this and see. So far, it's pretty neutral. Doesn't look as bad as a Bitcoin ETF so far. Right, let's compare that back over here. You can see it looks a little bit better on the Ethereum side of things than it does on the Bitcoin side of things. Because, like we've been talking about even before I went on break, that altcoin season looks like it's heating up. And as Crypto Burb over here, basically talking about over here, Bitcoin is up right now 600% since it's low. And like we've been talking about before on this channel, that we expect, these peaks to come in Q2. So make around March or so, and then slow summer. And then again, another continued rally toward the end of the year. And then 2026, most people are saying they're exiting, looking at a recession or, bear market. Who knows? I don't know about that. We will have to wait until it gets a bit closer to see how things are playing out, right? Because things could change, right? This is if traditional market cycles hold true. And I think the difference will be what happens over the next 12 months. We'll know a lot more day by day. And that's why we got to stay tuned and subscribe to the channel, because we need to be paying attention to, is adoption happening on a massive level? If a strategic reserve gets started globally on a state level and a national level, then it's inevitable that we might end up way, way higher. And then we might actually see this super cycle. And for those of you guys who don't remember, a super cycle definition is just defying the physics and the laws of previous market cycles, where we could continue to go much higher for much longer and outperform and defy what we've seen before. If not, we fall into these things, and then this could be true. So we will have to see what happens. And that's why it's really important to pay attention to what's going on. That's why this macro section of the show is always so important. Now, we're starting to get the altcoin section of the show. And of course, the top crypto narrative, no surprise to anyone here, has been AI and memes, guys. And I also made this little chart. I'll put it in the description below. One thing I just noticed is missing from here is AI16Z, as I told you guys before. But when it comes to L1, L2s, Solana, SUI, Ethereum base, these seem clear to me. But of course, there is no base token. So what do we like on base? Well, we like paid, Commonwealth, and virtuals. Also, Sequoia is another one too that we'll talk about in a little bit. When it comes to AI, Griffin, AI16Z, which I saw on here, the SUI AI agents, as we talked about as well. Based AI, virtuals, memes, of course, we'll talk about on the show as well. We'll go into it. And DeFi, when these altcoins start running hard, I think the paid and Commonwealth, which are projects of mine, focusing on retail adoption, focusing on early access to altcoins, I think we'll do extremely well. And the DeFi section, I think the most upside for a blue chip is Bluefin. And I'll show you this kind of post that I just made about here for some updates and statistics on Bluefin. So here's some data. Bluefin TVL is now at $125 million, up 32% in the last week alone. The Blue token is currently trading at 37 cents, which is a 50% discount from all-time high, making Bluefin the number one protocol on SUI by FDV. Bluefin perps now rank number 6 across all perp exchanges and number 1 on SUI. Bluefin Spot was launched 5 weeks ago and is now the number 2 DEX on SUI with over 100 million in total deposits. I told you guys about Bluefin before it even launched, weeks and weeks and weeks before it launched. I told you about it, but it launched. I've been keeping you guys updated on it. Still tons of upside, right? As you know, on this channel, I am extremely bullish on the whole SUI ecosystem. Bluefin's total trading volume across both perps and spot accounts for more than 50% of the total trading activity on SUI. Like crazy, staggering statistics there. Now, remember when AI and memes used to be 50% mindshare? Now you've got AI at 70% mindshare and memes at only 5.87. This is nuts, right? So we're obviously in an AI-dominated market right now where everything is about AI and AI agents and the whole world. Rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. I mean, it's the biggest technological revolution since crypto is AI. And so it makes sense that now they are married together. Let's listen to Jensen over here.
The IT department of every company is going to be the HR department of AI agents in the future. Today, they manage and maintain a bunch of software from the IT industry. In the future, they'll maintain, nurture, onboard, and improve a whole bunch of digital agents and provision them to the companies to use. Okay, and so your IT department is going to become kind of like AI agent HR.
Yes. So this is where we're headed, right? And these agents are getting crazy good, crazy smart. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been paying attention to the updates from OpenAI, from Anthropic, from Google, all these guys who are building these new crazy models like O3, for example, logic, reasoning, getting better, everything's getting better than humans, having digital assistants, digital twins. And now crypto is embracing it full on. We've been talking about this for a while, and we're about to get into that in the show today. Right. So one of the ones that I think is really undervalued right now, but I've been talking to you guys about it since the day it launched, essentially, right? And so I made this on October 29th, was Reality Spiral, right? And so they've essentially, we mentioned, I'll just show you guys real quickly. So right now it's sitting at $15 million market cap. We talked about it literally on day one. So we go back over here. On day one, I believe it was around, I don't know, I think it was around 800,000, 800,000. We talked about it, right? And now it's sitting at 14.5 million. But let's just look at, so we talked about it over here on day one. I tweeted about it. So you guys got to be following me on X. And make sure when you are following me on X that you go and turn notifications on as well. So go to the account, go to notifications. I don't know if I can do it on mine. I can't do it on mine, right? But if I go to this guy, for example, I don't know who this guy is, right? Then I follow, then I go to this thing and I go notification, turn notification on. I'm going to turn them off because I don't know who this guy is. I'm going to unfollow because whatever, I'll keep him. I'll stay following him. That's what you do to get notifications, right? Because it's much easier for me to post things on X quickly than it is to make these videos. But as you can see, we talked about it here on day one. And as we look at this chart, look at this. Crazy. Why? Well, Reality Spiral is the number 2 or the biggest contributor to AI16Z ELIZA, the open source framework, which is currently number 1 in the entire GitHub world. So of GitHub, which is where all the developers hang out, all the coding. Right now, AI16Z ELIZA's framework is the number 1 GitHub repository in the entire world. And the biggest contributor outside of AI16Z's core team themselves, Shaw and others, is the team from Reality Spiral. So the thing is here, though, is that which is a little bit, which made it kind of, I believe the reason why adoption is slower than others is because they launched on ETH. They do have a token on Solana, but majority of it's happening on ETH. And I think they still haven't really figured out exactly the right use case for the token. But the amount of exposure and support that the team from Reality Spiral gets from Shaw himself, from AI16Z, is pretty huge. And they're the biggest contributor to it. And so I think it's just a matter of time. And I think that they're already cooking things up of integrating the Reality Spiral token into the whole AI16Z framework to be able to do some really cool stuff. I've been following the threads. If you guys want to go do your own research, go ahead and follow them at reality_spiral and check it out. And you have a nice little pullback. I mean, all-time high was only $20 million. So it's still very low compared to other things like AI16Z, which is now, 3 billion, 2.5 billion, whatever. I don't think that's going to go to something. I don't think it's going to be as high as that. I think it's kind of like a beta play on AI16Z, but who knows what's going to happen. I think in this situation here, what you have going on here is you've got a team of really cracked developers that aren't the best at translating what they're doing, but I think that a lot of smart people are starting to now pay attention, as you can see from the chart, and buying it up because they know something big is coming. And as you guys can see over here, that the Reality Spiral listed on the list of partners right here of AI16Z. And this is something just to kind of put into context here for you, right? Contextualize this. When the CEO of the favorite stock of the cycle, NVIDIA, says that agents are $1 trillion opportunity and retail, meaning you and me, don't have any meaningful way to get exposure to the opportunity directly, except for sentient memes and tokens, you know where they're headed, to crypto, right? And so crypto is giving us a way to bet and gamble and get exposure to the AI agent meta that's happening in the real world, in the mainstream, for us to do it over here in crypto, right? And as you guys know, I brought you guys Bluefin at about $8 million market cap. And this is pretty nuts what's happening over there. This is quickly turning into what I think is going to be a major competitor to AI16Z, which is Bluefin, right? And I've told you guys about this for a long time now. AI plus crypto is finally here. Bluefin is so lit. You just tell it what to do and it does the on-chain stuff for you. Buy this or set a 2x limit order for this and sell it. Sell this at X market cap. Tell me trending tokens right now and list them by X factor. send an email confirmation of X, image generation, make this XYZ into an NFT. This will probably just replace the way we trade by simply using voice to text to trade like we do regular phone stuff. Faded the token, but good game. So Bluefin is just doing all kinds of crazy stuff on chain right now, allowing you to use AI and agents and basically just soon integrating talk to perform an action on chain, which is actually nuts, right? And this is kind of what the dream is, to make crypto easy for mainstream adoption, for someone who doesn't really understand it, just to be able to talk to their phone and say, hey, can you go buy me some Solana? Hey, can you trade my Solana for, if they want to get like some whiff or some things, trade by Solana for whiff, whatever. Asking an AI agent to do something on your behalf is way easier than navigating to a website like Jupiter or Uniswap or 1inch or something like that, or going to a DeFi platform and staking something. And these agents are going to be able to do all kinds of stuff for you. Like look for the best APY, look for, the best DeFi thing, the best yield, like how to use these complicated products, like, like concentrated yield on different exchanges, for example. So what Bluefin's doing is really changing the game. As you can see, like, let me show you this.
What does the fleshed out, fully 10 out of 10 complete app store look like?
What I think what the world looks like is you download Bluefin, you open up Bluefin, and you have, number one, your personalized agent. Number two, you have the app store where you can scroll and find different experiences on chain. Not only that, but let's say you actually don't have any Solana in your account. So then what you can actually do is go ahead and use Apple Pay to go ahead and fund your wallet so you can start doing things on chain. Once you fund your wallet on chain, it's as simple as opening up a thread and asking a question, which is like, hey, Agent Napoleon, here's what I want to do on chain. What do you recommend? So I'll just pick one of the prompts.
So like I was saying, guys, in building an app store on Bluefin as well, like this is so crazy. So you're building AI crypto app store using agents to do on-chain activities. And it's being valued right now you have a nice pullback right now. It's correcting a little bit, but 458 million. I bought this to you guys at 8 million. Literally here somewhere, like here. Here. So huge congratulations everyone who got in early with us on Bluefin. If you guys, and then a lot of these calls happen in the VIP group. If you guys are not in the VIP group, how to get in are in the description below as well, in our private Telegram group where I make early calls, but it's absolutely crushing over there. So now we have the next thing, which I haven't talked about yet, which is Citadel. And I've been seeing this for the past couple of weeks. I faded it for a while, but today I bought a pretty large chunk, literally just before I started making this video. Everything you need to know about Citadel, the autonomous hedge fund DAO. Bluefin, an AI agent launchpad, has introduced an autonomous hedge fund called Citadel. Citadel aims to revolutionize investment strategies by integrating AI blockchain technology. Citadel was launched just over 20 days ago. Bluefin, the innovative AI agent launchpad, has recently introduced an autonomous hedge fund DAO called Citadel, launched just over 20 days ago. This initiative seeks to revolutionize investment strategies by integrating AI and blockchain technology to create a sustainable growth model for both cryptocurrency and traditional markets. So let us dive into it. And as you can see over here on the DAOs.fun website, you can see Citadel's current stats right here. So you can add to liquidity if you want to. You get this G-Pool token, but here you can also see what's in their portfolio. So it's a hedge fund. It's trading tokens. AI is trading tokens, and you can actually deposit and have the AI trade for you right now. And it says that their assets under management right now is $367,000 of money that they're managing. And as you guys can see right now, Citadel has been picking up a lot of attention. Right now, it's sitting at a $30 million market cap, which is still pretty good. If you look at what we've also talked about before, Sequoia was on, so Citadel's on Solana hedge fund, and Sequoia is one that we mentioned before as well on Base, which I'm still bullish on. And you guys can see, guys, we talked about Sequoia over here at $14 million. I was very bullish on this, and now Sequoia is sitting at 63 million, but topped out at almost 72 million from when we first started talking about it, a month ago at $14 million. Still bullish, still holding Sequoia. because it's ran by a group of professionals who have been in the investment management space for a long time and now building an agent around their skill set, helping to invest capital. Same thing seems to be happening with Citadel. And so that's why I bought into this one. So I was a little late to the game on this one, but overall, I think that if AI does better than humans, then why wouldn't this thing go to billions of dollars in market cap? And it's sitting at 30 million right now. So I bought into, this is the thing that I haven't really bought a big bag of something. Well, I guess I kind of have, but but anyway, this is what I did today was Citadel. All right, guys. Another one too that I always want to remind you guys of is that was this call-in one. Now it's a bit slower than expected, but still, I mean, I brought it to you guys at 6 million, I believe. Let's see. Was attention back to this call-in token. So I went into this thing. Yeah, pretty heavy, but it's only $6 million, and now it's sitting at 13, so 2x. And this was 3 weeks ago. But as you can see over here, check this out. Colin is going live on Crypto Banter on Friday. What?
Hey Anon, this Friday, I'll be live on Crypto Banter with Ran, diving into AI, agents, and how we're reshaping the future of attention, engagement, and alpha. See you there.
So Colin, which if you don't remember, has a team of AI agents, a swarm of AI agents that are going and bringing attention. So when most AI agents like AIXBT and others and Goats and all these guys have one agent trying to, Bully, I've talked about before, trying to get attention. What Colin has done is it built a team of a swarm of AI agents that are all bringing attention back to one token, this Colin token. That's why I think that it will catch on and that will continue to skyrocket. So I just think that we're early on this one. And right now you have a nice pullback. I mean, it did pop all the way up to 24 million. So you've got about a 50% pullback right now from all-time high, but I'm still very bullish on that. And as you can see, it's going on Crypto Banter on Friday with, Crypto Banter has 1 million subs on YouTube, averaging like 100,000 views per video or something like that. So probably gets a nice pump on Friday, I'd imagine. Okay, guys, and moving on to not AI, but something that you guys know, my number one meme pick over on Sui, as a lot has happened. We just started talking about it before I went on my holiday break, and this was nuts. So I heard that there was an MEXC listing of Tardi, and they didn't even they just listed it, didn't have to negotiate. Tardi paid nothing for this. The exchange just listed it organically without the team even knowing. So now you have its first centralized exchange listing for Tardi as well. But all kinds of other stuff has been happening over here. Overdose, big crypto KOL, 155,000 followers, big Telegram channel. I talked about it. He says, my new token in my Sui portfolio. You know how picky I am about Sui portfolio. And I think it's time to add another meme to it, especially considering the quoted results. The name is Tardi, and I've been holding strong like a beast for quite some time. On top of that, Tardi content is great, and it represents very nicely the Sui narrative. Definitely interesting for me holding. Right? And as you can see, the community is just crazy strong on this one. It's actually been unbelievable how much content's been pumped out by the team. And again, I think this is going to be probably my bet is that it likely becomes the number one meme on Sui. And you have a nice pull. I mean, all-time high was over here at 44 million. And you got a pullback right now because everything in the market's pulling back to 25 million. But it's been super resilient. It's an upward trend. And the team's just been putting out crazy, crazy content. You also have other huge KOLs. We know that Ran has talked about it before as well. We saw Fefe from Crypto Banter talking about it recently as well. Also, Eric, Crypto Man, 250,000 followers on X, also made a poll and with almost 1,000 votes, crushes the other big boys. Hippo, Axel, Tardi wins in the polls over here. And this guy, Degen Dollars, did a contest, and it was just like any other championship playoff sports thing where he asked the communities, he said, okay, guys, so you would do like Blood versus Lofi, for example, and so he would run this contest for like a day or 12 hours or something like that. Whenever you make a post, the comments, whichever the most bullish comments about that particular ticker would move on to the next round. And so you had, Blood versus Lofi, I don't know what this is, versus AAA, Sui Beaver versus this guy, Sog versus Axel. And you can see it really showed, to me anyway, which communities seem to be the most organic and engaged and legit versus some of the ones that seem to be maybe more cabal related, like Hippo, for example. Like for Hippo to be the number one meme on Sui and not even win the competition here, showing lack of real organic community is pretty telling to me anyway. Right? And you can see Tardi won every single round, even versus Blub, which, by the way, like as you guys know, I hold big bags of Blub and AAA. And so it just wasn't even, it's just really surprising to see this. Well, not so much, but just to show how strong the community actually is over there. It was pretty dang cool. And guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. It's a long one, but it was an important one. And I hope that you guys found a lot of value. Share this with everybody. Happy New Year. It's good to be back. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.